It's an interesting book. In the sense that a lot of people think when you look at the cover, it's got the bowling pins and buildings in the back, and they kind of think it's about bowling, but it's not really about bowling. It's about the lives of people who are living in a town that's dying and trying to make their way from where they are to something better. I was born Richard William Halvey Jr., and I'm the oldest of 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls. And I grew up in Amsterdam, New York. We were a pretty Catholic family, but on the other hand, we had 4 boys right in a row, and so there was a lot of ruckus, and I think it was really hard for my parents to keep us fed and clothed and everything else. My father did floor covering, linoleum, rugs, carpets, whatever. My mother stayed at home for obvious reasons to take care of the kids. I went to St. Mary's. It was called St. Mary's Institute. I was first in my class and then I wound up going to Amsterdam High School, which was the public school. I was always into sports. I always did well. I was honor society. I think I graduated 12th out of 437, and I wound up getting I had a full ride scholarship to go to college, which I think is was a really good thing. It sounds better than what it was, because at that time the semester cost to go to University of Buffalo was $400, so it's not like it is now. So I lived in Buffalo for 4 years. It's really it has tough winters, but I think we had, a college, a campus like that. There were I want to say 39,000 students between the medical school, the law school, the undergraduate school, the graduate school. I wound up getting degrees in geography and economics. I had a lot of fun, and I decided that I wasn't really ready to go out and work, and so I applied to a number of graduate school or places where I could do my graduate degrees. My idea when I got out of college was that I wanted to go to work for a bank and evaluate property for whatever, supermarkets, office buildings, things like that. So I went to graduate school, and I stayed with geography, and then I did land use planning, or planning and development, city planning and development. I wound up working at the City of Golden Planning Department. It was only 2 of us, and I was one of them, where the Coors Brewery is. And sometimes on Fridays we would go take what we called the short tour, which meant you go down and see all that stuff. We're going right to the end of the line to the bar, so for free beer. But we were still living out here, and that was a little tough. And then I wound up as coming to the state Department of Health at that time, now Department of Health and Environment, as a planner for what they called state implementation plans, which was the term that we used for how we going to fix the problems of pollution. I stayed there maybe a little bit too long. I got tired of it and wanted to do something different. And one day I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just like, it's killing me. I'm getting up early. I'm going to bed late, and I wound up going over to a really neat place, which was called the Western Governors Association. Somebody said, "Does anybody here know anything about energy?" And I said, "Yeah, well, I did did this study on the border, the Mexico-U.S. border, about trying to get goods across and back. And, and they said, okay, well, you're going to take care of the energy stuff. But it turned out to be much bigger than that. It was really a lot of fun. And I really liked it. Somewhere, I think I retired. And it was 2012, 2013, one of those years. And I think the first thing you say about it, you kind of wake up in the morning and say, it's Saturday every day, There were a couple of things that I felt I still would be able to do. I work at the Saddle Rock Golf Course as a ranger, which basically I get a card, I go around, I look for people who are, doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. I like riding horses. I ride as much as I can. I don't think I would say I had a bucket list per se, but the other thing I got from my grandfather was going to the horse races. In between the races, almost every track has somebody who does it, but in between the races, I was outside, and they'd have the camera on me, and I would say, well, number 2 did this, and I so 2, 4, 5. That's what I like, and I did that for a summer, and then I wrote an article that involved the track, and the general manager of the track didn't like that I wrote the article, so that was the only summer that I did it. But I've been on TV. I was on radio in Vegas. It's a pretty simple concept. You're looking for the horse who has probably the best probability of winning the race. You realize that in order to make money, first you had to have the courage to put money through and hope that you did the right thing. And then you had to learn from your mistakes. One of the interesting things that you can tell the difference between like a gambler and a player. And a gambler he wins and he's berserk, he's excited, he just, I won. And if he loses, he's like, I'm going to go hang myself or whatever. They were always in the extremes of winning and losing, or they'd go, I can do it, I got to go back, I need money, I got to go back, I can win. Or I think the players were more of the, I wonder why I didn't win that race, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to take a look at it. That's what I missed, and now, I'll remember that. So I want to know why the horse won. I want to know what about the horse. I don't have a lot of people think the jockey makes a big difference. He makes a difference, but the reality is, unless your horse is ready, fully ready, healthy, able to go, I don't care who you put on his back, he's not going to win the race. So I think that was what. I mean, there's a lot of what I would think of life lessons, and people try something, doesn't work, they keep doing it, then they quit. This, you had to be disciplined, and you had to, and I made a lot of money doing it. To go from horse racing to fiction, it was kind of an immense learning curve, because the first book, I could whip out 20 or 30 pages, but if I stopped, it might not start again for 3 months, 4 months, who knew? So the first book was about 2 years, on and off. And I don't know, I mean, I have to tell you, there was a lot of shooting from the hip going on at the time, because I started thinking about it, well, I want about 50,000 words, more or less. And because somewhere I read that, like 50,000 words is a novel, and less than that is a novella. And there's two, I think, main Pinboy characters, and that is a kid named Vinny Antonioni and one named Gianni Petrosino. The town is going downhill. They used to be the broom-making capital of the universe, and nobody uses brooms the way they used to use brooms. So it's a place where more people want to get out of than get into, and and I think it's where I really like the bowling alley characters, the Pinboys. They're actually one girl. One of them is a soldier from Vietnam who came back with, I guess we call now PTSD. He started hanging around and finally wound up just getting a job at the bowling alley. Doesn't pay much, very, very little in that. There's a kid who's mentally challenged. I would have said autistic. I mean, he can communicate, but he's really good at doing the pins. He's big and he looks strong. There's another soldier who was in World War II. There was a fat kid everybody picked on. There was a girl who had just lost her mother. And I think they got together and they learned a lot about, being not just individuals, but being a team, and I think that was a big part of it. And it was nice. Basically, it was everybody's got problems, and it was kind of the Johnny and Vinny who were helpful in solving problems. And it doesn't come out as it's not like a happily ever after sort of thing, because everybody, you just don't solve your problems. That's the end of that. So I don't know. It was something that I didn't do a lot of. I didn't know a lot about. So I said, it was a challenge. I mean, I wanted to write a book, and I decided not to write about horse racing yet, and it was a challenge. I never intended to write 2 books, much less 3. I thought 1 was enough. I've proven myself. Read the book. That's me. But I started doing the second one, and I was like, I don't even like this. I don't even like it. But by the time I got through with it, I thought it was a better book than the first one. Not the writing or anything else, but I really liked the messaging. The messaging is, don't lie, especially to your friends. Don't lie, And if one of your friends in trouble, you're there with them, and and there's a little bit of that in the first book. There's a lot more of it in the second book. The ending is not like in the first book. The ending, something's left hanging, and so I said, just write a little thing that says, when the third book comes out, you'll find out. Hopefully it'll work out, and I think, the idea of sharing that with people through video, maybe that'll work. You know what? If it sells a lot, great. I can't complain. I had a pretty cool life.